You said what?
I like your chair.
Thanks. It's a gaming chair.
I know. It's dope. Does it vibrate?
No.
like some people can hook up the sound and like if they're playing like shit.
Oh yeah. I've never actually. That's funny. I've never seen this.
That's dope. We stayed at like a Disney World like Airbnb when we went out there, and they had a game room specifically for that, and the chairs connected to whatever game you're playing.
Oh, dope.
It was wild. It was dope though.
Yeah, I've only seen those in like the movie theater.
Yeah, it was sick. That place was sick. Anyways, are we starting?
Yeah, let's do it. Zay, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Everybody, Isaiah is a singer, songwriter, ghostwriter, artist. Was once in a band.
Yeah.
Once performed live in front of 400,000 people at Golden State Oracle Stadium.
I mean, all those are true.
All around great guy. I think he's a creative. He's more than a creative, just like myself and everybody that I usually bring on this podcast. Isaiah Blas, thank you for coming on.
For sure. I appreciate you finally sending me the invite. We were talking about when you first started. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. I want to be on it. I see 10 episodes coming up. I'm like, who the fuck are these people? Are you allowed to cuss on your podcast?
You can. They're just going to get bleeped out.
All right, that's fine. Well, who the are these people? No, they're cool. Your set looks good. I'm proud of you. I know we had talked about it like months ago, and then to see you kind of start rolling it out is dope.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I don't know why, because I kept asking, and it's just like I just kept getting dodged for a really long time.
Yeah, you kept asking me?
Yeah, kind of crazy.
Okay, all good. We can lie to your people. That's good. That's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah. No, I love it. I appreciate you coming on. I think that we have talked countless like hours and times, and I think we've built up a really great relationship. We've only really known each other for just over a year now.
Yeah.
And I just want to say I appreciate our friendship. I think like we clicked immediately, and we still click to this day. And
we have our ups and downs. It's all good.
Some might say it's just periods without talking, but
no, yeah, it definitely. I mean, we met in like a different capacity. Like you were still doing creative, but we were working in a different, different field. Obviously, I'm in mortgages now, so it's different. So you're working there, and like you're doing project stuff, and like I mean, kind of when you see somebody that's a creative, like creatives know creatives. So when I saw you and like we just talked, it was like a cool vibe. The crazy thing is, we've been in each other's like sphere longer. So when you worked at Teen Mom, I had like 5 songs on that episode, the season that you were there. And so like, yeah, it was crazy. It was when I first signed with Bunham Murray, like it's just like a little library deal. And they put like 5 of the songs I'd written on or even on that show and all the MTV stuff.
Oh,
it was crazy. Yeah.
Nice. Interesting. Damn,
so
dude.
we've been like around each other, but
right. I think like it's cool because you've been in the fields a little bit longer than I have. I feel like I've been in the fields for a while too, and then it's just like you've just been like laying groundwork for years too. I do want to like that is kind of one of the topics that I wanted to go and talk about too. Is like I think I have a good amount of knowledge of your story, but I do want to go back a little bit more because I wanted to like really figure it out.
Okay, so like.
Like the market days is like the market days like your first is that like your kind of your first tap at it?
Nah, that was like the beginning of the end, like
really,
at least for the band stuff. So I mean, I didn't pick up an instrument, didn't write until I was 21 years old, right? So I mean I always loved music and thought I could sing, but like I didn't pick up do anything. And then one summer or one school year, I went to Oral Roberts University. There ain't shit to do in Tulsa. So I just started learning how to play the piano, bored, just like started writing, just stuff. And it felt really therapeutic. So that's how I kind of got introduced to music, is it was therapy for me. Gotcha. And then I came back on a break, and there was this songwriting competition. And I was like, I want to try, like just with one of my songs. And there's amazing writers that have come out of that school, like Ryan Tedder didn't go there, but he's from Tulsa, like went to that school right across the street. It's like a sister school.
I'm sorry, is this where you're from originally?
I'm from San Diego, but I went to college there.
Okay. Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's like super worship like oriented, but pop and worship, they're very similar. Mm-hmm. So when I came back, I just tried it, and I ended up winning San Diego's Best Songwriter. I want to say it was like 2014, something like that, maybe even earlier, 12. I'm not even sure. And then from there, that competition got me a 6 months paid rent in LA. And
Fire.
yeah, so 6 months paid rent, and they booked like 3 sessions at Westlake. So I never done it. Went from doing nothing to being at one of the biggest studios in the world for free. I needed a band, kind of put it together. Casey, Jed. At that time, we had another drummer, and we just put the songs like to work. And I think that's kind of where everything started. And then things just started kind of circling, spiraling. So it was like, okay, next thing, people are picking up the album for college radio. And we worked with really talented people, and I just think it was all serendipitous. But I think that it proved to me that like when you follow your passion, things start working, and like the universe has a weird way of working. So you kind of start seeing that. You could see it fairly quickly. You may not see it super quickly, but you'll feel it. I mean, it always felt good. Like nothing ever felt. I mean, I had odd jobs, 15 years in LA. Like, there's years where you make a lot of money, and then there was years that I didn't make a lot of money, and so I would do, like, I worked on Rodeo Drive, like I worked like different stores, like back of house, like just odd jobs, like every artist, but with the intention of doing music full time. And so that was the beginning of it. Markets days, we went through a couple transitions. Like we were the Pennant initially, but no one could say that. Everyone called us dependent, which is, I mean, it's just, you start learning about marketing. Like you start learning it because you're like, okay, no one could say the Pennant. Everyone thinks we're dependent or depends. Okay, well, like it's one of those things like, all right, next thing we're going to switch it to, I want something, we're going to change our brand name. We ended up working with the manager. He was like, you guys should change the band name. So we changed it to Belmont Lights. Which is kind of like an ode to San Diego. Cool. And then we had success there. All the label circuit, everything, shows, tours, placements. And then went through a breakup with our manager, legal stuff, and went through a new rebranding after that. Lost our entire catalog for a bit.
I recall this story, yeah.
Yeah, so then we went into and we decided we wanted to be markets. I mean, we didn't use vowels. We thought that was cool. Everyone does that. But we just, you just start learning as you go, and then we were just winging it. So, like, that's kind of my story. Like, so I started off just kind of bullshitting, writing in, like, the piano rooms at Oral Roberts. Came to San Diego, won the songwriting. Then I just started doing shows, and people were responding to the music. And it got addictive. Like where I was like, I'm going to go play. I used to play sororities. I used to go play like their family dinners and then sell shows for the Roxy or Troubadour. Like, hey, we're playing here. We're at UCLA, whatever. So like the hustle got really, really addictive. And then kind of just went through the whole thing, signed a pub deal. I think when we kind of did the rebranding of markets, I went and got a pub deal for the team or for the band. So we got we got a pub deal, and then I signed a writer's deal too. So I could write, and they would, pitch my music, get it placed, take a percentage. Yes. So I started learning the business that way. But I think I was too late in the game to really take it seriously, like the business side. Like I gotta let myself get fucked a lot of times because I just trusted people, didn't want to learn. I just wanted to make music. I just wanted to do the creative part. And I think that's where I messed everything up. Or at least for me, because I could have been, I mean, look at me. I'm old as hell. Like, I'm not trying to be an artist now. I'm not, like, the thought of going on stage, like, I mean, we did, we would just do shows. Like, we did South by, I think we did, in 5 days, we did, like, 10 shows. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's 2 shows a day. And we were just young. We were going, drinking, popping pills. No, we weren't popping pills, but we were just like doing whatever. But we were young, and now I'm old. I got kids. I can't really sacrifice certain things that are like time and but that's kind of the story. Like the whole thing, it always kind of trended upward for me until I finally landed on songwriting. And I think just as addictive as it was to have a response perform and all of that, it was even more addictive for me to hear it on TV. Like when my stuff was being played through the NBA Finals or we played on the Today Show, that was horrifying. But like to hear your music on TV and get, $100K, $200K for a placement, like it just, the competition that you just kind of push yourself to the next place. And that was, I think that's where I fell in love with it, and then writing for other people. So like, now I'm just doing songwriting. But yeah, I mean, now I do songwriting. I do, I pitch for placements, and then I'd write for Fortnite. And I don't think I'm even supposed to say that because I got an NDA. So like, I'm gonna say it because they haven't sent me any gig work in like a couple months. But like, I write for video games, them in Rocket League. Like, it's been fun. Like that journey, and I wish I'd found it earlier. And had I been more proactive in learning the business, I probably would have found this earlier, because this is the fun part. I get to write from home. Sometimes I write songs for Fortnite. My daughter's in bed, she's 3, and I'll put her to bed and she'll fall asleep, and I'll just take my phone out and I'll finish the entire lyric sheet and do all the stuff. Like, I love my team. Like, everything is like where I'm at with music right now. It took a while to get back to this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Dude, that's amazing. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
That was like a perfect, concise, I think, like there was a lot of gaps there that I didn't know about. I mean, especially obviously all the stuff before market and things like that. Really quickly, I wanted to touch on a few things. So could we explain really quickly for the people like listening, it's very common for artists to sign publishing deals and then have a writer's deal. Like, it's very common for artists to be signed to one label, maybe for, like rapping, and then another one for like producing or like beat making or something. It's very common to have multiple deals. Yeah. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah.
And I'm not specifics about like monetary value or anything like that, but just more so. Yeah.
Yeah. So mine, my initial one was a co-pub deal. So my co-publishing. So when you think about kind of the songs in general, you have the way it explains 2 pizzas. So you have one whole pizza over here, one whole pizza over here. You have the master share, which is that pizza, and then you have your publishing share, writers and publishing over here. You can make money from both of those. So your master share is how many streams people are making or playing it on, Spotify, YouTube, like all those things. You can make it from the master splits. And that's going to go through your distribution, like DistroKid, TuneCore, whatever an artist uses. So when a label signs the artist, they're signing them sometimes for all of it, but usually they want the master share. If you have a pub share or a pub deal, so mine was a co-pub deal. It was a 60-40 or 70-30 deal advance. Like that's the one that would probably give you a bigger advance. Well, for me it was. And they're taking future earnings, anything that you're going to write, and it's on the pub side. So if I write 4 people, like when I wrote for Armin van Buuren, like we did that song last year, that was a split. Like I sent it to my publisher, but they had given me advance, so it's recouped against that. And I mean, there's a lot of that stuff. It is common. And then like producers, like there's like smaller deals, like you can sign admin deals. So where there's someone who's just representing you, collecting money on your behalf, which I think is important. They'll do the song trust, they'll do the, all this stuff for you. And then, or you can have development deals. Dude, the crazy story, when I moved to LA, I was 21, so it's 14, 15 years ago. However long ago was it? Yeah. And I go to Silver Lake. So I lived in like the east side, and I go to a little bar, and I can't remember the name of it. It's in Silver Lake, but I'm going to do an open mic. I just want to try to play in LA. Like I hadn't booked anything yet. So I go to this open bar that everyone says to go to, or open mic. And one of my favorite artists, like David Ryan Harris, he's an amazing songwriter.
Oh my God, damn, that's dope.
Yeah. So he played there all the time. He was there. John West, like guys that I idolized from San Diego, like as songwriters and artists.
It makes sense that that's your idols. That's crazy. Yeah, that's funny.
They're amazing. And like, but I get there, and this girl named Hope, she's an artist, singer, songwriter, amazing. We did the song that went on the Lakers finals. I had her come in a couple years ago and do the vocals. She killed it for DJ Bamboozle.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Dude, she's amazing. So she
comes out here. I hear pretty frequently. Like she's toured here. She chills in North Park a lot.
I haven't seen her. Like it took me a while to find her again, because I she had this song called Lighthouse, and she would come down here. She does like the Lestat shows, like the coffee house. She's not a huge name, but she's just an amazing artist. But that's what I looked at. So I followed them. I went to this bar, and it was one of the nights that it was kind of like there was no one I recognized there, right? So no one I recognized. And the guy goes up. He goes, all right, this guy's going to try a new song. And I signed up, right? So I signed up. And this guy's going to try a new song, and he is an up-and-coming talent, blah, 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 blah. And he gets up there, kills it. Like,
Crushes.
and his name is something Hernandez. I don't remember his name. Like, I don't remember what they called him at that, and I didn't register at that point. But he kills it. Like, it was incredible. Sat there and played the piano. I think he had a cajon player or something. Anyways, maybe a couple months, I hear the song, like a different version of it.
Wow.
It's Bruno Mars. So
Wow.
he was. That's what I was talking about, the development deal. He was in a development deal, and like he just kind of. I don't know how that worked. They don't do them anymore. So now, like,
Correct.
so there's a bunch of types of deals that you can get into, management deals, and they're all like, I think they're all important to understand, because then you can kind of weigh it against your business model. I just took whatever came to me. Like, I got a manager. He was hit me up. All right, let's do it. And then, you know, all the stuff kind of, it played out how it played out. But had I known certain things, it would have been dope.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a huge part, right? When you start getting people into the bowl, right, or into the mix, it's like people start to get, like, I don't know, either selfish or greedy or whatever it may be. But there's a lot of people having their own kind of, they want to put themselves first. And I feel like that's always super difficult. I mean, you see it with band after band. I mean, like Sublime or whatever. We're talking about Metallica or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's a very common theme. I've always it's because essentially it's like having 3 to 4 business partners.
Yeah,
and then on top of that, it's like having a 5th because you have a manager, and then you have it's like 6. There's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, and depending on the deal, you could now have like a boss. Like if you signed to a deal, they may say, okay, you were signed for 3 albums, but they have to be approved by the label. And they have to be major releases. So if we don't approve them, you get shelved. That's what they talk about, being shelved. Like the label won't allow you to release it anywhere else, and they're not going to release it because they don't approve it, or whatever. So now you have
what is that
boss.
like?
I haven't been shelved.
No, I know, but I mean like literally going and pitching your music.
Oh, okay. So that story is pretty crazy. Like, I mean, for me, my experience was pretty cool, and like in retrospect, in the time it was tough. But so we were getting a name. We were selling out House of Blues Sunset like consistently. Like every couple months we would sell it out. Like that's a couple thousand people there. And we would just, I mean, we built our circuit. We built our fan base. We sold out the Troubadour multiple times. So, you know, people started kind of knowing who we were. And then we started getting on those shows, like the MTV shows. And so you start getting A&Rs kind of, you know, they have assistants. Go scout them. Go look at them. And so one day we play the Troubadour show. And it's sold out. It's a record release. We get hit up by one of the A&R assistants, and I forget her name. She was from Sweden, but she comes up to us afterwards. I want to talk to you. Can you come to the Atlantic meeting or the Atlantic office? Like whatever. They, you know, we get contact with our manager. So like now they take notice of you, because I think you just do the work and then people will find you, and then you kind of go in. And for us, we went into those meetings. So she pitched us. We go to the boardroom. Now there's like 10 A&Rs sitting around this conference table, and us sitting at the end. And we have to play our songs acoustically. I mean, they wanted us to play our songs acoustically. They're like, we've seen some videos. We want to hear you guys like live and just kind of chat. And so we did. And then if that passes, like if you feel like that passed through, and we went to, you know, then the head of it. So like we went to, at that time, I think it was like Pete Gamberg and Craig Coleman. And so we go to their meeting and we play for them in their little office. I remember Craig Coleman ate soup the whole time we played, and it was pretty cool. Like that was really like a cool vibe. But like, and then he says, okay, I want to fly you guys to New York. I want to go to the headquarters. I want you to meet COO, CFO. So I mean, it's all pretty fast, and it can happen. Like, I mean, the experience was cool. I think it's kind of what you imagine. Had I known what I know now, I probably would have bypassed all of it. Like I would have been like, I don't need a label. Like I'm not making enough money for you to be of value to me, or for me to be of value to you. So either I'm going to take this, you know, this, I would call it, but like either that, or, you know, or I'm just going to get dropped.
Well, the thing was, it's like not even the fact that you didn't know it. It also just wasn't common at all at that time to be, you know, doing your own thing essentially, because it wasn't cracking on the internet as it is now.
No, I mean, but also the internet was around, but like,
well, like it's like people weren't being like found like that at that time. I mean, up until this point, I think probably the first case scenario was like Bieber, and it's like on a like that's YouTube. on a like a mega.
But that, but it was kind of happening. But I mean, so many artists don't do the research, or they don't even just put in the legwork. So like, I feel like what you said before, I think you told me, you're like, I just want to tell my people what I'm doing. If they come with me, they come with me. I'm going to do my thing. So you know what you're getting into with creative departments, socials or, YouTube or podcasts. If you're on board, come on board. If you're not, that's all good. And then on top of that, then you might find, sponsors being like, I vibe with you because you're already killing it. But it's really about numbers at that point. Like you got, the plays, you got the downloads, whatever it is.
Yep.
So that's kind of how, but the approach to getting, pitching music to labels is different than pitching it to music supervisors. Because then you have a different thing. Like you have a licensing deal.
Yes.
All those things. So like mine right now, like I'll get briefs from different sync houses. Hey, we're doing this. Or different music supervisors where they'll say like, here's the new movie. This is the theme. This is the whatever. And then you pitch it. And if you get it, you get it. And they'll tell you how much the payout is typically. So I like that part because now I have this entire catalog of songs that never been released. I mean, I had a song that worked for a shrimp song, like a shrimp sandwich. Like I think Sonic put out a shrimp thing. I thought it was Arby's because I asked the guys, "Is this Arby's?" Because that's disgusting. And they're like, "No," because the way they described it, he said it was Arby's. So I was like, "All right." I mean, it's $30K all in.
Yeah.
And they want a song that's just like called "Hooked" or something. And I had an idea and I just reworked it and so sent it out. And I was like, I want this, but like, do I really want my voice to an Arby's shrimp taco or shrimp sandwich? Like, I was like,
I think it's cool. I think it's like those stories are the best.
Yeah. So it's a fun thing to like pitch your music to, and you get some, you win some, you lose some. Like you lose most. Like if you can get one out of all the shots you take, you're stoked.
So there's something too, like you're talking about putting in the legwork. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I have so many freaking questions I want to ask you. But there's a big point to that of like, artists now don't want to put in the legwork, right? So if I were to make like a parallel statement, right, it's like a lot of videographers are just not in the field. They're not getting out there, right? They're just, trying to recruit or grab clients or anything from just social media directly. Yeah. The real ones that are going to win are just like out in the field. And I think that's very parallel with artists, like you said, like going to the open mics. And it's just like, they're uploading content that it's just like, they're just not physically getting out there. And like to literally just go up to a club or a bar, it's just like, hey, can I perform for 15 minutes? Like, I'm sure they'd be more than willing for free. Like, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, if you can add value, I think it's with anything. Like, if you're adding value to somebody, and you kind of, and part of the legwork is the research, right? So let's imagine that you're at a place or there's a bar that used to have a good, like live music scene, or maybe they even have a stage that's kind of run down. But if you can come there and be like, hey, I can book this on Fridays. So like there's a place here in North Park. When I came back, it's called Queen Bee's.
Yeah.
It's a little art show or arts place. But the lady that owns it, Alma, amazing. I go to the place and I had this idea. I want to book shows. I just want to book shows and I want to get my reps, but I want to start bringing on younger artists and see like what I can do. Like what I hear, like what I want to like just kind of hear what people have in San Diego. So I go to her and I say, hey, can I have a night? And she wasn't really doing live music at the time. Like they were doing like probably some like ska bands or whatever San Diego has. And she's like, yeah. And I said, okay, cool. So that's it. She gives me her rate. I think it was like $2,000 or maybe $1,500. She's like, $1,500 is the cost. Everything else you can take. So I said, okay, cool. And then you decide how to make value for the artist. So I go to the artist and I say, here's 100 tickets. You sell 10. Whatever the number was, we made it to where it was going to hit $1,500, and then the artist took everything because I wanted them to have money, and then they could sell their merch. And we're not going to take it as part of your guys' bar. I think at that time they were serving like beers and stuff. But if you do the research on what's not happening at a certain place or what's needed in that market, then you can find the value to add. But that's part of the legwork is the research.
Yeah,
so
1,000%. I totally agree.
Yeah, I
think it's very underrated. Okay. I want to ask you a bunch more questions. Let's talk about like a lot of your like writer sessions. So people call you into the studio a lot because you obviously have a knack for writing, singing, figuring out the cadence. I know I've witnessed you in action. I've sat in, and I think it's really amazing because like very parallel. There's stuff in my industry where I'm like, nope, we're not going to say that. We're going to do this. And for you, it's the same exact thing, but it's just parallel into music. And I'm like, it's crazy because from the outside looking in, it still looks like magic. I'm like, I'm envious of people that are in music because I think that's just the coolest job on the planet.
Yeah.
What do you think, like, or I mean, what's kind of not your process, but how do you guys just? I mean, obviously you go in there, you guys get on the same wavelength, catch a vibe, and
I mean, yeah,
like,
like now, I mean, I'm so dialed in with my team. Like, I have a sync team that we just do placements for, right? So one thing I think with any team that you start going in to work with, and we touched on this a little earlier about bands breaking up. I mean, it's something that I was really blessed for, because my band, we had zero ego. We were like brothers. Like, we literally, I mean, like, in terms of relationship, I love them to this day. We have a group chat. We're not even active. Like, we release some songs, but like, we just talk, send memes to each other, like,
Right.
whatever. But like, you know, we're just always talking almost every day because that relationship. But one thing that we had is just no ego. Like, everybody's in for it. And so the same thing with my sync band. Everybody's in for it. Like, if there's something that comes across, I'll send it to them. Like, when we did the Padres song this last year.
That was badass, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I just hit them up. I said I had a meeting with the Padres. They want us to write the City Connect jersey. Theme song's going to play in the stadium. You guys want in? They said, what's the payout? We talked about it. Obviously, and before every deal, or before I go into any project with a team, I always come in with this socialist offer. I say, hey, I don't care if you walk away from this session and you wrote one line or you wrote all the lines. We need to split everything evenly. It's off the top. Like, we'll just talk about it now. So you can have a good day. You can have a bad day. It doesn't matter. There's no pressure anymore. So then you sign off on that. Everybody's good. Now we have that agreement going forward. So now it's just collaborative. And so, like I said, I'm so dialed in with those guys. And then my writing partner, Alex, he taught me basically everything about being a writer.
He's amazing, by the way.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's an amazing producer. I mean, he's done Rihanna stuff. Like, he's working on some new projects that we can't talk about. Like, he taught me everything. So I trust him, you know, as an artist. Like, even as far as like pushing vocals, like, he taught me how to sing different ranges now. Like, and he's not a singer. He just is a vocal producer. He's a producer. So when we get a song or we get a brief or something from Fortnite or Rocket League comes in where it's this character map, we will, if there's an instrumental, he takes the song, he does vocal melodies. This is our process. He'll do vocal melodies, and then he'll send it to me. So it's just a lot of gibberish, like no, like whatever. Mm-hmm. And then I read the brief, and I take it and I make the words out of that melody. So it's super quick. So we can actually knock out a song in like, I mean, he's so fast with his. He could probably write a melody in like 5 minutes, fully done. And I can write the whole lyric sheet in probably 15. So we'll be done within the hour if you really, really needed a song right then. And that's just years and years of reps. And like, I have a Rolodex of words and like that rhyme schemes that I like to use, but I never like to recycle, and I like to, do something fresh. But that's part of it. Like, it's just having the process and then having the trust in your team. Like, and we're open. Like, if I send him, he sends me the melody, he says, "Just sound good?" I mean, it always sounds good. He's amazing. But if I said no, which probably has happened one time out of all the 15 years that we've worked together, where I'll say, hey, what about, can we change this part?
You guys have built up that like rapport of like the honesty.
Same thing with lyrics. If it's built up, if he tells me it's not good, I know it's not as good as it can be. But we never really like drag along with the thing. Like, and some people, I think the biggest thing for people is, they think that they're going to get it perfect. Everyone thinks they're going to get it perfect. And I think there's a bit of this rawness and kind of your instincts that might be the perfect one. And so trusting your ability, trusting your team is super important, because now you're not slowing down the process with being like, but what if there's something,
correct.
And all that stuff. Like, I mean, it kills you.
And if there is something, the whole team feels it.
You would know. Right.
Yes, you would know.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the process we go through. So like, that's me and Alex. Anything that comes in, whether it's his project, an artist, a TV thing, write the melody. He'll write the melodies. I'll do all the lyrics. And then for like Hollywood Principal, like the same thing. They'll do the beat. We'll do the top line. And then for my Gagno's team, the sync team, my team is amazing producers, crazy instrumentalists, like MDs. So they'll do the production. And I typically write the top line and lyrics on my side, so I don't have Alex on that project. And they'll sign off on it. Like, that's good. Like, we have just that open communication. I think that just streamlines everything, that open communication, that open trust. But the process is the same. So there's never like a lag. Like, it shouldn't take you forever to do it.
Sure. Yeah, I've watched you guys, and I think it's crazy because people have that trust in you guys too.
Yep.
They can tell that you guys are actually so dialed in that they have no reason not to trust you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at any point, if it ever gets compromised, it's just because either person has ego or whatever.
Well, truthfully, me and Alex went through like 3 years where we didn't talk.
Right.
Like, I mean, we're close. Like now
Yes.
we are close. Like he's like a brother to me. Like, yeah, I love him. But there was 3 years when the band, he was our producer, right? And so he was in New York with us. He was at Atlantic. He was at Warner Brothers. He was all the places with us. Whether it be engineering live, he would do everything for us. And then he would, produce and engineer everything for us. And then shit went sideways 1 month with everything. And so everybody looked at each other like, you're the enemy. And so we all looked at each other like, yo, what's going on here? Like, it's crashing. And so me and him didn't talk for 3 years. Like, I was trying to hate on him. Like, he would start doing his own solo project. And I remember being in LA driving, and I saw, like, someone post, like, oh, Alejandro's new song. I'm like, oh, what this fucking shit? So I turned it on. It's so fucking good. Like, I couldn't even hate on him. But I didn't even I wanted to hate on him so badly. Like, I wanted to call him and be like, this is trash. And it just wasn't. But, like, but now we've been through this bullshit. We've been through, now it's just trust. And, like, it's almost to the point where, like, I just want him to win. Like, I don't care even if it's me. Like, if I just want him to win. Yeah. So, yeah, that's important to have that kind of team camaraderie. And I wish that I had it before. That's, again, the business stuff that I talked about. Like, who you circle with. And, like, I just wish I had done all that stuff, because then I could have picked out who was right for me, who had what I needed. And I could have done it myself. A lot of the stuff, like, this is all, we just do it by ourselves. All my teams, we don't have, we have sync reps, but we don't have deals with people. We don't have.
Yeah. Well, you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it.
Right. And I think it took me a while to develop that, those business models, like, in those relationships. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. We talked about it a little bit. I want to speak on kind of Hollywood Principle, and their kind of, connection like Fortnite and stuff like that a little bit. How did that relationship start, with them?
So, again, Alejandro, he worked at Westlake. I talked about having those 3 sessions at Westlake for free. He was the engineer there
gotcha.
And the producer. So he was just like, okay, I'll do it. Like, you guys are here. Like, he liked our stuff, but he was like, it's kind of starting out too. But he worked there as an engineer, and producer. So he comes in, and his friend, Mike, was also an amazing engineer there too. So we meet them. Mike mixed a lot of our stuff. He helped us with our sound. This is 10.
Gotcha. So at this point, they haven't even developed the duo yet.
No, nothing. Like, they're just working at the studio.
Oh, wow.
At that point. And so they did it, and then a couple albums in, Mike and him are still on our team. And then first manager breakup kind of happens. Mike goes and works at Rocket League, and now he's the music supervisor there, or at Epic. So he's overseeing a couple of the games. So a couple years pass. I didn't really talk to him, like, and then COVID hits, and Mike calls Alejandro, and he goes, "Hey, we don't have a singer anymore, but we want to start bringing back Hollywood Principle." And they had a huge explosion because he put all of their stuff on Rocket League. So, like, they have millions, like tens of millions of plays on some of their songs, like hundreds of millions of plays. And so Alex says, okay, yeah. And he goes, we want you to write all of our melodies. And so Alex like, okay. So he calls me up and he says, hey, you want to write the lyrics? Like, we could just knock this out. They got 20 instrumentals. You want to just knock it out? And me and him were kind of working at that time together on this artist named Isla's project. And so I was like, yeah, send it over. So he sends it over. No fee. We're not charging them. It's just for free. It's Michael. Like, we know him. He's a good friend from the past, and he's done a lot for us. And so we just did it for free. And we write him all the songs. And it just feels good. Like, to have that team that's synergetic. Like, they do all the production, mixing, creative. Like, they're good at what they do. And so then we are on the top line side. It's easy for us too. So everybody's doing their role. And then I think a couple years later, a job pops up at Epic, and it's like lyricist or top lines for Epic Fortnite. So they had changed their model at Fortnite, how they were going to, instead of going outsourcing all the new artists and having them write because it was taking too long, they wanted to have just everything pre-written. So Mike pitches us. We get the gig. a lot of money's been made, and like it's one of those things where I think doing things just because you can and you love to do it is actually sometimes a benefit. Like if you're doing things for free, I think people see it as a loss, but like you don't know what you're building, you don't know what you're doing. If it feels good, do it.
Yes.
So that's
huge. That's super huge. That's amazing. Well, dope. I know that. I just on top of that, I know that Hollywood Principles now they're releasing their own project. They're kind of doing that. I think you're hopping in that camp for quite a bit of sessions coming up.
Yeah, I mean, Alex and I are writing all their stuff now. We have probably 30 songs that are like already just preloaded, and now we're sourcing artists, like just getting artists to be the feature. Streamline the process. Just come in, you sing it, kill it. We have the vocal producers, we have the engineers there. It's songs already written. You were there. I hand them a lyric sheet. They get to read through it. It's almost like acting at that point. Yeah. And they just crush it. And then these guys go, and we have some stuff on the back end for sync that we're developing. So it's just kind of going all in on this project more so. And they are too, which I'm excited about because they're great dudes and they deserve it all.
Yeah. I think that they're going to go super far too. And especially too, they're, I think you had talked about they're doing some type of event as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice.
So they are a part of the Same But Different festival.
Gotcha.
So I mean, they're just like they're involved in stuff in like
they are
in a big way, and they're cool.
But also, so are you too, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think once you start like kind of reducing everything down to a certain point, everybody's like kind of connected, especially like in music. Like you're probably like 1 degree of separation from whoever it is you think.
Yes.
And so, I mean, I get involved. I have like, but I also decided now that I am not doing music as my only like my life source, and also I have kids now. That's what I want to be. I want to be the dad. Right. I just want to be a husband, dad, provide, and then music. I had to figure out how do I use music or do music without keeping myself at the top of my mind, because I have real important things now, and so like now how I had that relationship with music, it's kind of I get to pick and choose what I want to work on. Like pick and choose instead of desperately going out and be like, can I work for you? Can you sign me? Will you sign me? Instead, now I get to pick and choose what I give my energy to, what I give my skill set to. And I can say yes or no, and I can say yes or no to whatever dollar amount. I can say no money at all. I can say all the money you need. Like I'm at peace with that now finally. And that took like 2 years for me to recover from being, cause I still haven't listened to music since COVID started. Cause that's when my deal ended. Since COVID started and I got out of my pub deal, it was such a tough breakup for me with music that, like I still haven't listened to music. Like I don't know any new songs unless like you're talking about kid songs, like the new LOL Surprise album, banging. I swear to God, Barbie, amazing. Like the song, no, you think I'm kidding? They are bangers. These songs, the songwriters, the performance. Like my daughter's like into like kid stuff, and I mean, that's actually kind of, I did that song. I swear to God, though, they're amazing songs. Like,
you're not wrong.
I listen to them still. Like, sometimes I'll be listening to them, like, they'll pop up on my phone because we were listening to them. My daughter's not even in the car. I'm like, it's a mermaid party. And, like, this is banging. Like, but, like,
it's a new demographic. It's a new age.
Yeah, and I think everybody's skill level and the bar is set so high. And the floor is even high. So, like, if you can't write this formula, you're not figuring it out. Yeah. And so, I mean, those songs are amazing. So I've listened to those songs. And then, I mean, like, it's cool, be a dad, like, of young kids, because then it actually opened up an opportunity for, like, KPBS. Like, I did The Sounder and Friends. I wrote that whole thing, the Nickelodeon or the Netflix show that was going to go on Nickelodeon for the whole thing. Like, all that stuff wasn't open to me before. So, like, even in new chapters in my life, I'm starting to kind of I'm aging gracefully. So I'm just like, if I die, I'm going to die.
No, that's good. I love it. I think we've talked about like also too like how the whole process of where you've been too. I think you're completely right. I also didn't know you prior to this too either, but just from the way you describe it too, it seems like you're in like the perfect light you want to be in. Yeah,
it's developing, and I think as it I think now that I'm a little bit older, I think the most important thing you can be as an artist is malleable. like to your situations. So
Yes.
I mean, art just kind of develops. Like sometimes you'll be,
Correct.
whether you're drawing or you're taking a picture, something might happen within that process
Yes.
that is more beautiful or better than you expected. So I think being open
Yes.
to that is important. And I think it takes a long time to learn that, because you really want to try to be like, I want to draw this flower. But then you didn't realize, like, if you do certain things, it turns into this entire forest that you were able to draw.
Right,
and it's like, whoa. But you just have to kind of let it go and let that flow and just follow that passion.
Yeah. I heard this quote from Rick Rubin. I don't know it to the T. I'm going to butcher it a little bit, but he talks about the concept of if everybody in the room is moving towards the same idea and leaving everybody's ideas that they walked in the door with at the door, then you're going to get a project, or you're going to get something that is what it needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's super important.
Like everybody has the objective to, and I don't know what the word is, but which is like giving in to the idea at hand, the project at hand.
Yeah, and that, I mean, when you're in the room and there's like this magic moment, we used to call it being in a float state. So like it happens on stage.
Because it is.
Yeah, it happens on stage a lot. I mean, if you're locked in. Like when we
right.
would practice so hard that we would, it was like second nature.
Yes.
And there'd be a moment where it felt like everything froze and you're still performing in real time. But me and like Casey would lock eyes, or me and Jed or Chad, and you would feel like you're above the room.
In sync. Yes.
And so it happens in the writer's room too, where it almost.
That's why I'm envious of you guys, of like people in the music industry. You guys get to. The vibrations are incredible.
Yeah. You get to ride those, and you get addicted to that moment. And I can attest to that. Like I have like the Traces project, amazing project. We've had moments where it was just like, and then you walk away and it's almost like you don't even remember what happened, but and then you listen to the song, you're like, holy shit. That happens often. And I think part of that is just, not having the ego. Like if everyone comes in there, it's like, it's not my way or the highway. I'll give you an example. When I first moved to LA and I had the Westlake thing, I became friends with Alex, and I moved to West Hollywood on Poinsettia, which is 2 blocks from Westlake Studios. So Alex was doing a writer's camp, and he called me. He said, "Hey, you want to come through?" And it's a big studio, and I didn't have sessions anymore. We had finished that years before, and so I was like, "Oh yeah, like I'll come through." So I walk over there, and there's all these cars, big, like this is some expensive shit out there, and there's some hoopties. But I was like, okay. I'm like, I get down, who is here? So I go and I find Alex, and it's a writer's camp, but there's a lot of people. There's like 10 people per room. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I never experienced a writer's camp. So then I'm like, all right. So then he goes, hey, come to the room with me. So I go in, and there's like a bunch of artists. Let's just say there's 6 artists, but everyone starts fighting. Everyone's arguing. Like, that's not that line. I don't think, this line. And they start, but they don't have any rapport. They're just writers that came into this writer's camp. They're trying to get their lines on there. And it turns out to be Rihanna's writer's camp years ago. And so she's not there. And then the next day she comes in, she's trying different lines with her vocal producer and seeing what works. But I remember seeing the room and it being not how I like the rooms. So it's a bunch of writers jockeying for position, trying to get their lyrics on there, trying to get their credits. Yes. And that, I think, kills the vibe. You might walk away with something cool, but chances are it's going to be tedious and it's going to be tough to sift through some of the fucking shit. But like, I don't know. But
it's crazy too, because they almost would be better off if they like sat back, they got on the same wavelength, and then it's like they wrote in. But it's like, when you have people just trying to cut.
But you can't do that if you don't have this agreement off the top that says everyone's getting paid or everyone's getting credit.
Right.
Because in those camps, sometimes at that time, not everyone was gonna. It gets aggressive. You could hear stuff like, "That's this dog," and it's like, "Oh, I think it's good." But because they don't. If you get a line on there, I'm not getting a line on there. I might not get credit at all, or whatever the case may be. Like, that was a long time ago. It was like 10, 12 years ago, but like. I think that's where I went into. It's like, if you're in the same headspace and there's nothing to worry about, then you can get on that wavelength. Then, like I said, if we practiced a lot, we had nothing to worry about. We knew what we were doing. It was second nature. Now we can really just be in that moment. And when you get on that moment and you get that float state, I don't know. There's nothing like it.
Right. That's incredible. That seriously is incredible. I don't think there's any other way to put it. I think You've hit a lot of the points that I kind of wanted to talk about today. I really appreciate you. Like I don't know what to say.
No, I appreciate having me on. I'm excited for what you're doing. It's cool. Like for
Thank
creatives.
you. I appreciate it. No, and I think, dude, seriously, it's people like you that like inspire me along the way, because it's like, there's like, I was like just coming, and I was, as you're saying this too, I'm thinking like, it really makes me think like we must have crossed paths like before this too, because it was like, I was living in the Valley, like since 2013 and up. And then it was like, well, then right before I moved to San Diego. Mm-hmm. So it's like, man, it's like, you were right there.
I was always around. I mean, they're doing like 3 sessions a day. So I'd be in the Valley and be in, be in the east side, be in the west side. Like it would be everywhere. But yeah. I mean, we definitely, I know that Teen Mom, like the MTV stuff, are you not supposed to talk about that, or you don't care?
I mean, I don't really care. But
all right, well, I know the stuff
really,
like back in the day. I know that there's a couple episodes. I'll send you the clips. That of what it was, but yeah, man.
Yeah, that had to have been before my time. Then that had to have been.
Really?
It had to have been right, but probably because I was still like PAing at that time. I was just driving vans and stuff.
All right, well maybe it was yeah. But it's just funny like how everything kind of when it gets reduced down, like you start seeing. So like that's why I think it's important. Like network, find out who you're working with. Sure. Work with everybody. Like if you can, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. Like not everybody works. People don't like to work. Some people don't like to work with me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's okay. You don't have to work with me.
All right. This is exactly why I have this podcast, is because I want to talk to creative people, and they're like too few and far between.
Yeah, I mean you'll find them. Like I think when you do this, like you'll start. It's kind of like a beacon. Like people, creatives will find you, designers will find you, and like you'll see. Like I mean, I have friends that are designers, jewelry designers, clothing designers, whatever it is. We vibe the same way. Like we're just creatives at the end of the day. Yeah. We're literally just taking whatever the hell is in here, and then putting it out into the ether. And so we're finding ways to do that and how to follow that. And like right now, like it's just you just get that, and so you vibe with people. And like I think doing this, you're gonna find. You'll find like the right people, and people will find you. I think that's just the way it works.
Yes. So. I think like you should reconsider too. Like you keep saying, "Oh man, I'm old, I'm washed up." Like that.
I'm not washed up. I'm still probably the best songwriter anybody that I know knows. So.
It's all good. But yeah, bro. Like I still think like you could do whatever the you want to do for the next 20, 30 years.
No,
I like you could literally take it wherever you want to go, and I think you already are. I mean. Even the Padres thing was the magnitude on that is huge. The magnitude on that is big. And I didn't realize it at the time. And I maybe even think that you slightly didn't realize it on the time. But it's like, even those like jerseys, like they're like, that's a huge thing that they're pushing.
Yeah. I mean, they
put a lot of backing.
They played my song in the stadium or at Petco every Friday night. Every Friday home game, it was banging. Like my song was at my voice, me rapping. You could look it up. But like, it's just like, it's just, and that's not even my skill set. Like, I'm not a rapper. I like rap, but I'm not a rapper. And so, like, but to do that, project, I know it was I know the magnitude. The Warriors thing when it went up when they did the finals, that got me to the Today Show. Do you know how many people watched that episode? 6.5 million people watched the Today Show that day. I wrote the theme song for Good Morning America. Every day they played my voice, and like I know the reach, understand that, but like also. There's a lot of baggage that goes along with it. So me having to just kind of get it all down and figure out and still sustain.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a hustler at the end of the day. Like that's just what I do. So it's like I'll fall back on my craft, but I also like I have to learn how to hustle that a little bit better, and that's part of the I learned that process, and then I still have to feed my family. So that's why I do OnlyFans.
Okay, well that's where you're wrong. I want to close this out by saying I appreciate you. I think you have a crazy amount of knowledge. It's funny because sometimes it may feel it's like you have all the knowledge and you want to pass it on to people because you're that gracious. And it's funny too because it's like I picked up on a lot of it, but I've seen you give it to people and they're just like maybe pass on it a little bit or something. But
yeah, I don't. If I can help anybody not make the mistakes I did, I'm happy to give that. And and also like anybody who's open to hearing, I'm not always right. I probably wrong most of the time, but I can tell you my experiences and I can at least tell you which way not to go. And that's kind of my pitch to developing artists if I'm working on them. So yeah, I appreciate that you noticed that because I think the world has missed out on a lot of amazing art because of people who didn't know how to get it out there. Mm-hmm. So like And in the same way I feel about athletes. I think the world has missed out on probably the best basketball player ever.
Yes.
Because he didn't know how to actually do it or get there. So like I think if anybody goes by, if I can give him any kind of pointer, at least don't go this way, that's the only thing I'll do, at least so that the world have some kind of a better chance of getting better artwork or amazing art. I'm happy. That's happy.
Yes. Jose, thank you. Right before we go, what your solo project? You're working on it right now?
Yeah. I am. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm working on it. I wrote it.
What can we expect? And I got to hear like some demos from it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's still the same thing that you're working on. Okay. Yeah. And I love it. I was like banging it for the first week you sent it over. It's like it was really good.
Thank you. Yeah. No. My solo project. Yeah. It just there are a bunch of just very dense writing. Like I mean, I did so many pop sessions for years that. You write the same thing, like, love or, whatever it is. So I just wanted to, and in the higher, like the lexicon, it shrinks when you write for other artists. So I just wanted to write like weird artsy stuff and weird, cool, like, almost poetry. So that's how it started. And then, it's just very dense writing, cool pop melodies, like a little bit of R&B. Like that's where my kind of my vocal range is. And so, and then like, we're just going to go in, me and Alex and a couple of my other producers, Jed, like we'll just fine tune the album. Cause now the demos you heard are just like demo instrumentals that I wrote to while I was taking the NMLS test. And so like, or studying for it. So, but now I have the kind of space to revisit and really put it out. So I think it's just a lot of letters to God. It's my experience with music. I write a lot of letters to music, just being like, how the fuck did you, woo me into this? I have letters to my daughter that are just, I mean, she's an absolute star. Like she's 3, but you can just see it. So just kind of a warning to her, like, here's what you can go through. Cause I mean, we talked about my struggles, like, ending stuff, like that stuff. I just want to warn her. I mean, I'll be there, but it's still like, I want to give her, so it's a letter to her. And then obviously there's a song about my wife, like just little things. It's nothing like, I just want to put it out. I don't even care if anybody hears it.
Right. Well, Zay, I think people will love it. I appreciate you. If people want to follow you, they can follow you on Instagram primarily. Best place. Yeah,
Instagram. I mean, I'm on there sometimes. Like most of my stuff is Isaiah V Blas. Or if you want and you're trying to get a loan, hold up, let me get the plug. No, I'm just kidding.